For the first time since 1974, just before you were born, before I was born, Air Force and Colorado will play football against each other. It's been a long time.
Has been a long time. Last time was about 3 weeks before I was born, and that'll tell everybody how old I am. But it's been a while, so I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. I grew up, going to Air Force games. Lived in Littleton, and every time BYU was in town, we'd get tickets, and so every other year or so. But I went to several Air Force games growing up, so this will be fun for me. I've seen a lot of Air Force games, and just never against the Buffs, so I'm looking forward to it.
This game they started preparing for when camp opened. Mikhail Onu told me earlier this week there was a period every day in practice that was designed for Air Force. Mel Tucker said, hey, this is a game you can't just show up the week of and prepare for. So we've heard a lot about the challenges of facing a triple option offense. A lot of it comes down to your eyes, your discipline, taking on your responsibility and not trying to do too much, because if you try to do that, that's when they can gash you.
Yeah, and we've heard so many players say that this week. It's all about our responsibility. We hear from this team and the staff a lot, hey, we don't worry about the other team. It's more about us doing our job. And sometimes that sounds like cliche, coach speak, whatever. I don't think that's any more true than in a game like this, where if you just follow your rules and do what you're supposed to, then there can be some success. Now, Air Force is going to run the football. They're going to rack up some yards. They're going to put points on the board just because they do that with everybody. But it's a matter of limiting that and sticking with it throughout the game.
Caden Remsburg is their star back. They've got a lot of guys. There were 17 Falcons that had a rushing attempt in that season opener. Now, part of that had to do with the fact they blew out Colgate, so they were going to get more guys involved. But it's going to be a lot of guys involved in this game. We heard Braden Huffman-Dixon and Vontae Chenault have been guys that have been trying to imitate them on scout team this week. What are your thoughts in terms of just the preparation for this offense?
Yeah, it's interesting. Mel Tucker mentioned the cut blocking. They're practicing that, and the cut blocking can be a little dangerous. Tucker's in the past mentioned ordering knee braces for these guys for this game. Practicing the cut blocking. On the one hand, you're putting these guys at a risk of injury, but on the other hand, you can't have them the first time they ever see it be Saturday in the game, and so you've got to almost risk that and just make sure that they know what they're doing. So, and Tucker mentioned yesterday they're going live with it. It's not like they're half speed going cut blocking. They're wanting them to get used to it, and so I think that's going to help. A lot of these guys haven't seen it now. It's interesting because there are some of these guys on this team that have seen an option offense, whether it's in JUCO. In high schools, they run a little bit more. Now it's a different offense, but I don't think these guys are totally foreign to it.
Mel Tucker had success going against Georgia Tech's option offense the previous 2 years at Georgia. We did hear Tyson Summers say, hey, everybody wants to lump these triple options in together, and they're different. Tyson Summers, though, did coordinate against Air Force back in 2015. He made it sound like they dialed back and they've gone more simple with it versus what he faced in Air Force's offense back in 2015.
Yeah, they've kind of evolved over the years. They've gone a little spread in recent years. It looks like they maybe dialed it back a little bit. They've got a younger team in the last couple of years. So, it's interesting. I think Tyson's the only one on the staff that's actually gone against Air Force. So many of the guys on the staff have gone against Georgia Tech. I talked to Jimmy Brumbaugh this week. I think the 4 teams last year that ran the option were Army, Navy, Air Force, and Georgia Tech. Well, Brumbaugh's faced Navy, faced Army, faced Georgia Tech. Now he's getting Air Force, so he's getting everybody. But, there's experience on this staff. How they translate it to the players is going to be real key.
On Air Force's defense, they have a first-team All-Mountain West defensive lineman in Jordan Jackson. Jeremy Fedulum, I think I'm probably butchered that, is a defensive back that was first-team preseason All-Mountain West as well. They were picked to finish third in their Mountain Division. Lost a lot of seniors last year, but again, just looking at their defense, it's a pretty solid unit with some pretty good athletes.
Yeah, they're an interesting program because in 2016 they won 10 games. They've gone 5-7 in the last 2 years. Who does that sound like? That's the Buffs, right?
Yeah.
But this team, it sounds like there's a lot of predictions are they're going to be a better team this year, a bowl team. There's so much talk about that offense, but their defense, they get after it. They hit hard. They're very disciplined as well. So the Buffs have got to be on point offensively as well.
I love Mel Tucker's answer when he was asked about this being a trap game at his Tuesday press conference. He says, you have to be totally clueless to think that this is a team you're just going to roll over and beat easily. Clearly Colorado's going to have to show up. If they show up and they're disciplined with their talent edge, they're going to win this football game, but you can't come into this game sleepwalking or you're going to be in big trouble.
I felt like that comment was as much a message to his team as it was to answering the question, knowing that a lot of his team would probably watch that. I felt like it was. Not that he's not delivering that message here, he obviously is, but I feel like that was as much a message to the team that you guys better be ready. I mean, Mel Tucker, remember, he was recruited by Air Force, almost went to Air Force. That was many years ago, but he knows what Air Force is all about. He almost went there because of the discipline and because of all those things. So he knows what Air Force is all about. He's not going to let these guys look over this game.
In terms of predictions here, I'm going to keep kind of predicting shootouts, but because Air Force controls the ball and they're very methodical in their approach, it's not going to be a crazy score here. And I do think Air Force is going to score some points. I liked the adjustments the staff has done with the defense in both games in the second half, but it's still a defense that I'm not convinced is going to be able to stop an Air Force offense. That, again, you can try to prepare for it as much as you can in practice, but I think they're going to make some plays. I see Air Force scoring 27 points, but I think Colorado scores 31 and wins this game by 4 games. But I expect a fight on Saturday at Folsom Field.
I do too. The one thing, Air Force doesn't win a lot of these games, these Power 5 games. I think they've lost 6 in a row, like 3 and 9 over the last 10 years or something like that. They don't win a lot of these games, but they give everybody fits, and they're in almost every game. I know it was many years ago, 10 years ago or so, but they took Oklahoma to the wire down in Norman, Michigan recently. They don't make it easy. The key for Colorado is going to be getting up early. They've got to get a lead and kind of limit some of what Air Force does. I think they do that. I think Colorado wins a little bit bigger spread than you. I'm going to go 35-24. I think Air Force scores, but I think CSU's offense is going to put a little bit more up on the board.
Speaking of getting up early, everybody's going to have to get up early with the 11 o'clock game start. It should be a fun atmosphere in Folsom Field. We'll be back with more analysis after the game.